Okie dokie. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. Good morning, guys. Good. Everything should be coming through nice and clear. We're going to jump back, and there's, I think, a good lesson from yesterday to look at here. And that is catching a long on a pullback in what seems to be a pretty strong market, right? So you never know if you're going to jump into the market. So this was, the open yesterday morning, Monday. We did have clues similar to the two previous mornings, I think Friday and Thursday. We were talking about seeing clues for a bigger pullback again, right? And that's kind of how the days played out last week. And so when we came in yesterday, we were expecting the market to potentially pull back a little deeper. But we were obviously in a nice, strong bullish push from the lows of Globex, right? So the Globex low, we launched out, and then we came into the open here, starting to get some clues for the bears from the highs. And then we came right down into what is really our first major support level with the stuff that we work with. And why is that? Well, we've got a couple things here. First of all, it is a roadmap level. So we know there's edge to the market somewhere right around 60, 70, give or take a point or two on either side there. We also had the holy orange power level sitting here. We also had VWAP, and price before it pulled back was way, way, way far away, right? We're way up here. We open right where that vertical line is and start pulling back. So I'm already looking here and seeing that I've got a confluence of a bunch of stuff, right? The most aggressive level would have been a pullback into the 200 here, but there was something lining up to me right here or right around the holy orange power level, right? And as price kind of started to pull back, we started to see everything come into alignment here right at VWAP, Hopel, and the roadmap level. So this was a classic pullback into a very strong area of potential support. Remember, just because it's a good, strong area of support doesn't mean it has to hold, right? So whenever I get in a trade, I'm already mentally expecting that there's possibility we could chug right through and I have to accept a loss, right? But I thought we had a pretty good chance here. You guys even, I think I might have even mentioned as we bounced off the level that I wanted to get long off of, I mentioned, man, I just got missed by a tick. So you guys should have already known I wanted to get in long there. In fact, my entry was the swing low of this move. So as the market was pulling back, I put my entry at 69 quarter, 60, 69 quarter. You could even pull up the chat here, go back to that time out of the open, and see me type, oh man, I put my order at 69 quarter. It didn't fill me, and now look at, we're bouncing right into the FMA. If I would have gotten filled there, that would have been, 8 minutes after the open, and I would have basically taken my full profit. Now it missed out, I believe, on filling my 5-pointer, right? So I would have gotten a pretty good trade, 2 points, 4 points, missed the 5. And so I missed out. It missed my entry, but I told myself if we come back down, I do think that this is still a good play because typically we see this type of price action. We see a push into a level of good support. We see them come back, retest it with a slightly lower low, and then the market goes. So luckily, again, my entry was at 69 quarter. It came down, missed me by 2 ticks. I actually had a 2-point stop below there. Didn't get filled on the stop, and that was it, my friends. I got a really good winning trade right off the VWAP there, and then you can see, never came back. So really, really good entry. In fact, my long off of, again, it's not just in the middle of nowhere. We are off the previous swings of the overnight session. We've got 3 critical levels that typically hold, and I had a divergence as we were coming into here. See, that first divergence as we pulled in was one of those extreme divergences where we came down. Compared to all the previous swings here, we were much, much lower, and we just parried right off the 20 there as it was coming in. And then we came back, and on the second test, as we came into that same level, I recognized there was still some potential divergence there as well. Of course, I had my entry just sitting there, waiting to get filled, and then you can see it ducked one, couple more ticks lower, another divergence, and then that was it. So that, my friends, was probably the best trade of the day. Again, this is a typical pullback into the mean, into the previous resistance, and into a major roadmap level. In fact, 3 major roadmap levels with some divergence. So from there, as you can see, entry was 69.25, went right to the back end of the major roadmap level. And on the way up here, if you missed out on that long, which again, I know we were talking about potential pullback from this area, but we know how wonky the market is, and we do kind of qualify our biases with the observation that the market has been back and forth, right? We've gotten real clear bullish clues. We get a push in the bullish direction. We get through some key levels. Looks strong for the bulls, and then they just rip it right back into the mean. And then same thing for the bears. We get very heavy bearish market for the last month or two, and then they whip it right back up to the mean of the range from the all-time high down to the lows of January, right? So we're kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. Even when we have some slight biases one way or the other, doesn't mean that we're married to that position, right? So I thought this was a good trade to see if we would get the bounce. And what ended up happening here is we just created a slightly higher high. We came right to the next major roadmap level, and then we got the pullback at some point here, right? So you can see it came into the roadmap level, came back, kissed it. It didn't go through by more than 2 points there. That was if you shorted that area, you've got the major pullback for at least going into the overnight session, I should say. But came up, made a slightly higher high off the roadmap level, and then now we're getting the pullback. So the bearish potential we were seeing eventually transpired. We just needed to get the slightly higher high compared to that overnight swing. So that's how the cookie crumbled. Again, on the way up here, if you missed out on buying the ultimate low here, we did have the pullback into the VWAP and the Hopal for some more bullish divergences that led to the bounce. If you missed that, you had the pullback into the FMA once, and then you had the pullback into the high of the day before, where you also had some divergence for the bounce out. So there were some good long opportunities. Again, as much risk as you need, maybe no more than 2 points if you tried the Hopal, or you tried this first pullback, or you tried the FMA there. Again, no risk. And then if you were very, very patient, you then got that nice, beautiful little kiss off the high of the day before there for the push to the new high of the day, where it was rejected right off the roadmap level. So there were a lot of good longs here as the market was showing its face for the bulls. And then you did have your short opportunity off the next roadmap level, where again, I'm urging you guys, if you're in a long and you've just got through a major roadmap level, you should be taking profit right around here and right around here, hopefully just in front of it, because a lot of times we push into an area like that and we get a pretty extreme pullback in a long scenario. So, getting long here, should have taken profit in front of the high the day before, took profit just in front of the roadmap level, and you would have nailed the first major pullback of the day. And then again, getting long off the next roadmap level brought you right back to the front. And this is exactly why I tell you guys, you want to take your profit just in front of these levels, because a lot of times we come into that area. Remember, this is a higher time frame support and resistance that could vary by a point or two on either side of it here. So when we come up into this major structure zone in the market, take profit in front of it in case something like that happens. Just imagine how annoying it would be if you put your entry or your exit right on the roadmap level. It came one tick in front of it, and that was the high of the day, right? So great little opportunity up there to try a short. And then on the pullback here, you can see we then started to get very heavy for the bears. We held the back end of the 200. Once the crossover happened, we held the first test and the second test. Again, this first test, beautiful short opportunity, especially if you're noticing that the market is starting to get heavy, failing off a major roadmap level, and then coming down and holding the back end of the next one. you get the crossover, you get the first kiss, and you get that nice extreme divergence. Look at how much how much the RVI had pushed higher here, but price had pushed lower, right? So that right there, beautiful to the tick opportunity that gave you the pullback right to your next roadmap level, where hopefully you took it profit right in front of it, because then it came almost right back to your entry. So on the way down again, all bearishness off this high. I don't think it went through by more than a point through the 200. So another 1 point risk that brought you down to, again, your first take profit, hopefully in front of there, and then maybe a little bit deeper into that next one. But it didn't quite make it down. And then you can see this is that next pop up to the retest the high of the morning. And then we fell from there. And you can see on the way up, they pulled back right to the 200 after the crossover happened. They pulled back to it again here, unfortunately missing it by a point maybe or a couple ticks. And then right up to the high of the day where there was some bearish divergence. And then you can see again, if you just watch what's happening here, trouble, breaks through, trouble, comes back, trouble, trouble, and then it gets below it, and then it's trouble to the downside right off the roadmap level. That led to the pullback where we find ourselves in the overnight session here, and the bears are still in power. As you can see, all of these tests of the VWAP on the way down gave us some nice divergences off the major highs. And then there is the kiss of the 200 with another very clear bearish divergence where you could have got in about an hour ago for the next pullback. All right, and now here we are getting through the next major area of support and resistance, the major scaffolding. They bounced off of it, came back, dipped through, and now you can see to the tick trying to hold from that area. So that is the review for the last day, day and a half. Again, if you just zoom out and look, the low of the day, our roadmap level here, the high of the day within a tick or two or within a point, our roadmap level here. So once again, the low of the day and the high of the day become the two major rotational points on the S&P. Okay, and now here we are coming into the open, getting a little choppy, coming back into, honestly, within basically 6,000 was 50% of the range, coming right back close into 50% of the push from the all-time high. Let's just show you real quick here. I know the market's we got 15 minutes, got a little bit of time here. So from the all-time high all the way up there at 61.81 quarter, all the way down to the January low, we're sitting just about 50% of that range. You can see prices pulling back, I just mentioned, coming down into 50% of last week, and then 50% of the whole range is just 20, 30 points below it there, right around 59.95, 6,000. So we're still kind of chugging back and forth right in the middle of this major range that we've been in for a month or two, maybe even 3 months now, just back and forth, reverting back to the mean every time we get strong follow through one way or the other, right? So pretty messy. But that concludes our review. Again, the major rotations in the market coming right off of our roadmap levels. So let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now, see what they have to say for this morning.